We're doing this because we got a lot of people messaging us and asking us questions about the roles.
Yep.
And so in order to make life a little bit easier for everybody involved in this process, we came up with the idea of having an AMA yesterday. So we've already gotten a question, actually. Hi, I have a working with y'all question. How do you support junior/new staff to train and learn within their roles? Well, that's a great question. I think we have Sarah in the chat, who's our junior producer. She has been with us, for 5 weeks now? I want to say 6 weeks.
I've got Sarah starting on the calendar over there. Sarah's first day was the 13th of September, so just over a month.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's gone fast. So, Sarah, if you want, feel free to just dump your thoughts in chat. But Sam and Anna, from your perspective as the leaders of our company, how do you go around supporting junior and new staff in their training?
For what we're looking at for kind of upcoming hires, it's a little bit more challenging in some regards because we haven't got a large team, so it's a bit harder for us to support people who are brand new in areas that we don't have a lot of expertise in ourselves. For example, the kind of concept art, that kind of artistic side of things. We don't have strong skills ourselves in those areas. Sam's a very experienced programmer, and so he's more able to kind of work alongside programmers and make sure that they're on track. So we would be able to support a very junior programmer, I should think. But for some of those other positions, because we're small, it is harder for us to be able to offer a lot of training on site. That said, we definitely have a training budget. When a new employee comes on board, we have a budget, and we make sure that people are able to attend conferences, do courses. We'll support the time and funding for those if they're going to be really helpful to that person and to the company.
It's also really important to, in my opinion, to bring in junior staff when you know you have the capacity to train them and teach them. I don't think it's fair to bring in a junior staff member and then be like, okay, you're on your own, figure it out, go watch YouTube videos.
Absolutely.
No point.
Yeah, that's a really bad way to retain people as well. Sarah has such a nice answer. I'm gonna read it out really quickly. I hope you all don't mind. The junior producer point of view. I've been so lucky with this team. Sarah. I had a lovely production consultant mentoring me and holding my hand. Thank you, Sam C. You're fantastic. For the first little while through the nitty and gritty of everything new coming at me, but having a small team, I feel like I can ask questions at any time and there's no dumb question. Absolutely. Especially as someone who had producing experience but new to the games industry. I hope this answer helps. Wonderful. Thank you, Sarah. Hi, what do you look for in candidates? A personal project, something you're keen on? Sam and Anna.
Yes.
Very much so.
Absolutely.
If you send us a CV and there's no link to a portfolio or personal project, we've got no way of telling if you're good at what you do.
Yeah.
When I hired Isaac, I largely hired it because he sent me examples of his personal projects and they were really cool and showed insight and talent. So I hired him.
Yeah.
And the submissions that we've been looking through, some people, there's a CV but there's no evidence that they can do what they say they do, and it's impossible to tell if they're worth hiring or not, basically. It's unfortunate, but it's the truth.
So we like to see versatility. If you've tried a bunch of different things, especially as an artist, we like to see versatility as an artist. We like to see, I like looking at the personal interest sections and seeing interesting things in there. Just, that you're going to be a person who's got stuff to talk about and bring to the table in a different perspective. I love seeing different languages. I'm a bit of a language nerd myself, but, I really like to see that.
Something that we're also really good at is like recognizing the differences in people when we're like interviewing and that sort of thing. So if we're like, oh, that person didn't seem quite right, I think we're really good at taking a step back and being like, hang on, why are we thinking like that?
Yeah.
Are we conforming to some sort of bias that we have here, and like talking through that and figuring it out like emotionally, I suppose. I've noticed in this particular round of hiring that we're doing, we haven't asked for any shipped titles. Is there a reason for that?
Possibly because what we're looking for is quite wide-ranging, quite kind of nebulous, and so there might be people who have got skills in the areas that we're looking for, but they haven't necessarily worked in games, or they haven't necessarily finished something, but this is something that they're interested in trying out based on their other skills and things like that. I guess we just didn't want to shut it down too much. We wanted to be quite open. We had when we were originally looking to hire a producer, we were very specific with our list of requirements, and ended up not finding anyone who met those requirements. Perhaps this time we've gone too far the other way, and having a very broad list of what we're looking for.
And I think, hiring people at the moment in particular is quite hard. There's lots of things in the way. And we've got, like Anna said, we've got this nebulous cloud of what we're looking for. We're looking for, ideally, people in Dunedin, but remote is fine. We're looking for, people that can fill these different skill gaps that we've got within the company. And so because of those things, we've got these limitations that we're looking for. So if we limit ourselves in other ways, the pool of who we can look at shrinks, and there's just no point in doing that. So we'd rather throw the net wide, get lots of people coming in, and then having some options of who we can look at and how we fill those gaps. And we're looking at because we're looking for programmers and art and UI and game design and stuff. Maybe we find someone who can fill several of those things but has never worked in games. Or we find someone who's shipped 15 different titles and can do one of them perfectly. Another thing that we've heard about hiring people is your standard white male will apply for a job if they meet 60% of the requirements, or some of the requirements, and apply anyway. Women and anyone from a minority, they will see those things as barriers and they just won't apply.
Yep. Amen.
So we deliberately wanted to remove as many barriers as we can in order to bring more diversity into the company, to get more people to apply, so that we then have the option, because if someone doesn't apply, then we don't have the option of potentially bringing them into the company.
Just thinking about my own personal career, I went and ran a cafe and became a barista, and I had never learnt how to be a barista or run anything like that before. I went and taught music and jewellery making to people with disabilities, and I had never worked with people with disabilities before, but someone gave me that job, to try me out. I went and became an administrator and fundraiser, and I had never done those things before. I became a manager of a medical centre, and I had never been a manager or worked in medicine before. So my entire career has been people taking a chance on me. And so what can I do but do the same, really?
Yeah, amen. Oh, Anna, that's so nice. That makes me feel really good. One thing that I did want to, it's a little bit of an awkward topic, always feels like it anyway. How are we handling discussions around pay and remuneration?
Again, it's that to do with that flexibility. We're looking for such a wide range of things, and we don't know who we're going to get. We don't know what kind of experience they're going to have. We don't know whether they'll have all those skills and we just hire one person, or whether there'll be 4 different people that we hire half-time. We want to be as flexible as possible, and as fair as possible.
Yeah.
So once they're hired, or once we get to that kind of hiring meeting, and we'll negotiate a rate that's fair for them and for us, and everyone in the company will know it. We're transparent within the company of what people get paid. So there's nothing hidden. It's just that we need to be able to be as flexible as possible.
We don't want to put a number on it and then have someone go, oh, my skills aren't worth that much, so they want someone more senior than me. Or put a number on it and have someone go, oh, that's less than I'm worth, I'm not going to apply. We'd rather have them apply anyway and then pay someone what they're worth.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's a really good point, Sam. Retna is asking if we've thought about low-risk internships. We have touched on internships a little bit recently.
Again, because we're small, it's hard for us to offer the amount of support that an intern might need.
Yeah, so there's only 5 of us, so if we bring in an intern, realistically an intern costs us in terms of time. They may produce something for us, but the amount of time that goes into mentoring them and helping them probably means that overall we lose in terms of our productivity time. And when there's only 5 of us, that's kind of a hit we can't afford to take yet. Super interested in doing internships when we're a little bit bigger and a little bit more established.
100%. I was just going to say that.
Love it. I think it's that junior problem as well, eh? Yeah. Not that having a junior is a problem, that's not what I mean, but the whole, like, you have to have the time to, like, train a person. You can't just let them go by themselves, because that sucks so much when you're at a job and it's like, what am I meant to be doing? We also got some really good questions, and Sam, you've already touched on this a little bit. Are we offering remote as an option?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yep, same reason as all the other things. We'll find the right person and then work things out with them.
Figure it out. And do we require relocation or a certain time zone window?
No.
I mean, our artist is in Poland.
Yeah, wow.
Our composer's in England.
Yeah.
Our publisher's in England.
There are things that make it harder or easier.
Yeah.
But again, we're open to whatever.
What is your time horizon for this vacancy?
It's going to take, I think probably the first process of just going through the applications and seeing what we've got. That's going to take, I mean, it's not even been a week, has it? The ad's been out. Friday. So give us a week for that part of it.
Yep.
And then another week probably to look through and really have some team discussions about the options that we've got. Hopefully not that long, but then we'll start contacting people. So probably within the next 2 weeks, we will be contacting people, and you'll either get a no, I'm sorry, as much as we would love to employ everybody who applies, we cannot, and I hate that, but
alas.
Or we'd like to talk more with you. One thing that we have Sam and I have briefly talked about, and I think we'd like to look into more, is doing work tests. Here's a little piece of work that we'd like you to do to see how it goes. We will pay for those. But we have to talk about that in more detail.
Yes, we will absolutely pay people for tests for sure, because you're spending your time, right? Like, your time isn't free. So, absolutely.
Yes, so can Sam and Anna talk a little more about the kaupapa of the company mentioned in the studio handbook?
Your studio values.
Right, okay. Well, obviously we value our staff. We really strongly want to look after the people that work for us. We have chosen to make a game so far in which the player does not enact violence in the world, and we want to continue making games like that, because we think there's probably enough violence in the world and we don't want to add to it.
Yep.
We are moved by environmental concerns. So again, there's a strong thread of environmentalism that you'll see throughout Before We Leave, and we want to continue bringing that out in our future games. And we're really concerned or caring of our local community. We've chosen to set up our studio in South Dunedin, which is one of the poorer urban areas in the country in New Zealand. That's where I worked for the last 5 years in that medical centre I was talking about. And we just really wanted to be able to support this community by whatever we can, because equality, equity, equality of opportunity are again really important to us. So in this community, there's a lot of immigrants, there's a lot of people with disabilities, there's a lot of elderly people. We want to make sure that our company dollars, when we go out for lunch, we're spending money in South Dunedin businesses. We're part of the South Dunedin Street Festival. We're making sure that kids who are growing up in this area see that they've got opportunities for employment that they might not have thought of, and all that kind of stuff. We made sure to employ local accessibility testers from the groups, the disability support groups in the area and things like that. So I guess those are I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I reckon. But to touch on the creation of the handbook a little bit, this was something that I think that I bugged you all about. Not to take credit, because we've all worked on it and it's been a really good experience, but I was inspired by the Runaway Play Studio Handbook, and I heard a really great talk at GCAP, which is Games Conference Asia Pacific, which was online last year. Usually it's hosted in Melbourne, Australia. One of the people from League of Geeks gave this great talk about their company values, and I was like, oh, we love to see it, so I just kind of put them together, and that's when we started creating the handbook. Retna asks, Anna, I was intrigued by your comment about the name Balancing Monkey Games. Does this stem from work-life balance?
Yes, it does. So when Sam started working, and you'll have heard that he started working as a hobby project on his game, and he was working full-time at the time. We have 3 children, and so he had other commitments as well, and so he was balancing a whole lot of things.
I mean, in the end, naming things is just super hard. So you try and think of a name, and you think up one that doesn't suck, and that's the name.
I think we'll wrap it up there. Do you all have any final thoughts?
No, head empty, no thoughts.
That's my line.
I know, I stole.
Yeah, that's okay.
I have it there.
All right, I will hang up on you guys now, and I'll wrap up the stream. Thank you both so much for spending an hour.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's gone very quickly.
Man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. You guys take care, and I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.